see if I can't show it to you. At least this is the beginning part. So I have to put this at 3/4 of an angle so it fits the isometric idea. So again, I want to kind of give myself this beginning of the vertical line and the box that it's going to fit in. So I have to establish the length, the width, and the height of this particular piece. So I'm just going to give this lined out like so. It's about twice as long as it is wide, just kind of visually measuring this piece. So I'm doing that. However, all the lines that I just drew are not part of this object because it is a three-dimensional piece at that angle. So I have to take a look at this and kind of figure out, well, how is this going to be arched in here? Now, tracing it as you were doing is not a bad idea. However, that would be for an orthographic view. This is an isometric part. So it has a rounded piece. So I've gone from the first drawings we've done, a rectangular cube shape, to a rounded piece, and now I have to arch this all together. So it's relatively this bar is soap type of shape, and that's how they designed it as a comfortable form-fitting piece for your ergonomic use. And now I'm just kind of building this section up. Now I haven't used the shading like I showed to start the drawing because now I'm trying to think a little further and building this up. So now I have all these curves. If I put some cross contour lines in this will help me just to explain it since it is a white surface. The only thing that helps in the drawing to show me anything is the reflections, and the reflections of the ceiling lights are rectangular shapes onto this arched piece. The other part is the scroller mouse button here. So if I were to find the center, which is done by crossing the diagonals of a rectangular shape, helps me find the center piece, I can kind of take the center and let it go all the way down the part of it. And you'll notice that there's a little less space as opposed to more space in the foreground. As this comes up here, this lets me see this circular shape. So now I'm able to draw the button here, that's the scroller button, that refers directly back to the elliptical shape. So now that I have this piece, I'm going to kind of shade it, the same concept as I did before. I have the pencil, the lead of the point of the pencil is kind of exposed more, so I can shade this down, and I'm just lightly changing it this way. I'm turning the paper. You can't see it too well because of the screen, but I'm giving a shaded side. There's no hard edge to it, except on the base where you can't see it because it hovers over the surface. So even that's kind of taken away, but I am going to give it a darker line there and see whether or not you can do that. The only other thing is the cable. Now the cable is hidden from the view of that drawing, so it's just having a line come out like this. And it's trying to also to help you think of illustrations that you may have done digitally and how they can apply this way. So now this part's going back, so I'm kind of, now I have the basic shape of this mouse. Now I just have to think of shading it. And like I said, some of the reflections on the top of this section help because it's showing the arched surface of the whole thing. The logo is there. It's kind of recessed in there. So we just did the logo so you can get an idea of that. And if I were to try to draw this logo, I'd kind of give myself a base and a height so I can at least project this apple shape on here. And then once it's there, I can always just kind of show the recessed parts where it's just the shadowed thickness of those pieces coming through. Now it's pretty light, so now I'm going to go back in and see how dark can I make it. Well, it's as dark as the lead of whatever pencil you have, so I'm just going to arch that piece in there and then just start to shade it. It has a little bit of the curved pieces on the side. Now your mouse may be different. There's assorted ones out there, so you got a little different problem at hand, so see if you can solve it as you're doing it. So I see a little bit of this cutout curve. And there you have it right there. And now it's just a matter of shading it. So if I decide to put a couple of reflections in there, I told most of you not to erase as you're doing this drawing, but the erasing of some of the highlights may be part of the tricks of some of the drawing. I'm going to lightly shade the back, let it come to the foreground so that it has the light of the paper right now is all I'm using. There's other materials, markers and paint that you can always throw together, but just kind of concentrating on the drawing and trying to build a base tone of this part here. See if you can't take your mouse. Like I said, you might have a different one than this. Might be a Logitech, if that's how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. I come to the cable, and at the foot of it, or at least as it spits out the mouse, I'm just going to kind of give it a little base tone line, and I can even give it a little cast shadow to help it extend itself. So see if you can't illustrate your mouse. The same idea. It's going to have a little hovering shadow. That's almost the same repeated shape of itself coming around there. See if you can't illustrate your mouse. Now, like I said, this is the part of the industrial design field, and everybody that is doing that has these skills of drawing to represent their ideas prior to production. So that's what you're going to attempt, as well as see coming soon. So see if you can't illustrate the mouse. Like I said, you may have a different one, but it's at a 3/4 view, which is representative of this isometric drawing. Okay, so I'll touch up mine a little bit, but see if you can't give it a try.